Imagine running on a wheel, endlessly, tirelessly, but never truly moving forward. Welcome to the rat race. The rat race, a concept as old as society itself, is a metaphor for the exhausting, repetitive routine of modern life. It's the 9-to-5 grind, the constant chasing of career advancement, the relentless pursuit of more wealth, more possessions, more status. It's a cycle, an ever-turning wheel, where satisfaction is perpetually just out of reach. Imagine the hamster on its wheel. It runs and runs, its tiny legs a blur of motion, but it never gets anywhere. It's stuck in a loop, a cycle of exertion with no real progress. This is the rat race. It's a treadmill of modern existence where we're constantly sprinting towards goals that keep moving further away. The finish line is always just around the corner, yet it never arrives. But it's not just about the mind-numbing repetition. The rat race is also an emotional roller coaster. It's a cycle of desire and aversion, love and hate, fear and hope. We desire the promotion, the bigger house, the fancier car. We're averse to failure, to falling behind, to not living up to societal expectations. We love the thrill of achievement, yet we hate the anxiety of the chase. We fear being stuck, yet we hope for a better future. And in this cycle, we often feel stuck. Like the hamster on its wheel, we're moving but not progressing. We're running but not reaching. We're chasing but not catching. We're trapped in a system that manipulates our desires, fuels our fears, and keeps us running on that endless wheel. Yet, as we run, as we chase, as we strive, a question emerges from the depths of our consciousness, a question that challenges the status quo, that defies the norm, that dares to disrupt the cycle. What if there was a way to break free, to escape the rat race, to step off the wheel and onto solid ground? But what if there was a way to break free, to escape this cycle? Enter Stoicism. First, we must learn to achieve freedom from external influences. A fundamental tenet of Stoic philosophy is the understanding that our true power lies within us, not in the external world. It's about realizing that the winds of life may blow us in any direction, yet it's we who set our sails. Consider this. You're stuck in traffic, late for an important meeting. The external circumstance, the traffic, is beyond your control, but your response, your internal state, that's entirely within your power. You can choose to fume and fret, allowing the external to dictate your peace, or you can accept the situation, perhaps use the time to listen to a podcast, or simply enjoy the silence. This shift of focus from the external to the internal, from what we can't control to what we can, that's where freedom lies. It's a liberation from the rat race's frenzied pace, a doorway to tranquility amidst chaos. By being indifferent to external events, we can learn to focus on what truly matters. Next, we must learn to accept our circumstances rather than resist them. This is a fundamental Stoic principle. Stoicism teaches us that life is like a flowing river. We can either swim against the current, exhausting ourselves in a vain attempt to change the course of the river, or we can accept the flow and use it to our advantage. Take, for instance, a sudden downpour on a day you'd planned a picnic. Rather than grumble about the ruined plans, a Stoic would accept the rain as a part of life's unpredictability, perhaps even find joy in the unexpected change. In a broader context, consider a career setback. You might feel frustrated, even defeated, but the Stoic approach would be to acknowledge the setback, learn from it and move forward. By accepting our circumstances, we reduce our vulnerability to fear and manipulation. We're not flailing against the current, we're floating along with it. Through acceptance, we can find tranquility and peace. Thirdly, we need to become indifferent to how others perceive us. In the grand theater of life, we often find ourselves playing roles to please the audience. However, the Stoic principle urges us to ignore public opinion and maintain our self-worth. Consider the example of an artist who creates not for applause, but because they love the act of creation. Their satisfaction comes from the process, not the praise. Similarly, imagine a scientist who, despite popular disbelief, persists in their research, eventually making a groundbreaking discovery. These individuals exemplify the Stoic principle of indifference to perception. They derive their worth from within, not from the fleeting opinions of others. This does not mean disregarding constructive criticism, but rather not letting the views of others define us. It's about standing firm in our values, irrespective of applause or boos from the crowd. By ignoring the opinions of others, we can find true self-worth. Our fourth strategy involves developing the skill of endurance. Endurance, in the Stoic sense, is not about merely surviving. It's about thriving despite adversity. It's about standing tall against the winds of the rat race, steadfast in our resolve. With the ability to endure, we become resilient, not easily swayed by the pressures of societal norms and expectations. Consider the story of the renowned Stoic philosopher Epictetus. Born a slave, he endured hardships most of us can only imagine. Yet he emerged as a beacon of wisdom and resilience, teaching us that our response to life's trials is within our control. In the rat race, this endurance becomes our shield. When we're faced with long hours, unending tasks, or the pressure to conform, we don't crumble. Instead, we endure. We hold our ground, not because we are stubborn, but because we understand that these pressures are external, temporary, and ultimately do not define us. With endurance, we can withstand any storm. The fifth strategy involves letting go of our attachments. This is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. It's not about rejecting the world or denying ourselves pleasure, but rather about understanding that our attachments to people, possessions, and even ideas can bind us and keep us entangled in the rat race. Consider the business tycoon whose wealth is vast, but who can't rest for fear of losing it. Or the artist who is so attached to their work that they lose their peace of mind over a single bad review. These are chains, self-imposed and self-maintained. To break free, we need to practice non-attachment, to appreciate without clinging, to enjoy without becoming dependent. This is not an easy task, but with practice we can learn to value things for what they are, without letting them define us or control our happiness. By letting go of our attachments, we can find true freedom. Our sixth strategy involves measuring our reactions to provocations. Now, this is a crucial Stoic principle that can help us break free from the rat race. Stoics believed in the power of controlling their reactions. They understood that while we can't always control what happens to us, we have absolute control over how we react. Consider an instance where you're faced with an arrogant colleague who seems to enjoy belittling others. You could react with anger, letting this person's behavior disrupt your peace of mind. Or you could choose to remain calm, understanding that this individual's actions reflect more about them than you. In a similar vein, when we encounter obstacles or setbacks in our journey, we could either view them as reasons to give up or as opportunities for growth and learning. By choosing the latter, we maintain our composure and inner peace, keeping our focus on what truly matters. By controlling our reactions, we can maintain our peace of mind. Our final strategy involves embracing our mortality. This is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy known as memento mori, a Latin phrase that translates to "remember you must die." This isn't meant to be morbid, rather it's a reminder to live fully, authentically, and without fear. You see, when we truly grasp our own mortality, we become free from the futile race for more. The quest for wealth, status, and material possessions lose their luster when we realize they can't be taken past the grave. We start to value our time, relationships, and experiences more. Take Steve Jobs, for instance. In his famous Stanford commencement speech, he mentioned how the realization of his imminent death was the most important tool he had ever encountered to make the big choices in life. By acknowledging that our time here is limited, we can prioritize our lives better, focusing on what truly matters. By embracing our mortality, we can live courageously and virtuously. So, how can these Stoic strategies help us break free from the rat race? Let's take a moment to reflect on what we've discussed. Each strategy we've delved into offers a unique perspective on how to navigate life in a more fulfilling, liberated manner. Firstly, breaking free from external influences. This strategy is all about developing an inner resilience, a fortitude that allows you to stand firm amidst the storms of life. By not letting external factors control your emotions and decisions, you gain a sense of freedom and self-empowerment. Next, acceptance of circumstances. This isn't about resignation, but rather about understanding the nature of reality and working with it, not against it. It's about finding peace in what we cannot change and focusing our energy on what we can. Then we touched on indifference to perception. In essence, it's about releasing the need for approval and validation from others. Your worth isn't dependent on external validation, but on your own moral and ethical standards. Developing endurance is our fourth strategy. It's about cultivating the strength to withstand hardships and challenges. This resilience provides the stamina to persist on your path, regardless of the hurdles along the way. Letting go of attachments, our fifth strategy, teaches us to not cling to people or material possessions. It's about understanding that everything is temporary, and that clinging only leads to suffering. Measuring our reactions to provocations is another important strategy. It's about cultivating a calm and balanced mind that doesn't react impulsively but instead responds thoughtfully and wisely. Lastly, we discussed embracing mortality. This strategy reminds us of the impermanence of life, encouraging us to live courageously and virtuously. It's about making the most of the present moment and not being paralyzed by fear of the unknown. Implementing these strategies can lead to a more fulfilling, autonomous life. They provide a framework for overcoming the traps of the rat race and for navigating life with wisdom and serenity. Stoicism then offers us a way out of the rat race, a path towards true freedom and fulfillment. The rat race is not a life sentence, there is a way out. You've journeyed with us through the tenets of Stoicism, unraveling 10 strategies to break free from the ceaseless cycle of the rat race. We've explored the idea of achieving freedom from external influences, recognizing that the power to shape our lives lies within us, not in the hands of others. We've delved into the importance of accepting circumstances as they come, realizing that resistance often results in further entrapment. We've pondered on the significance of indifference to perception, understanding that the opinions of others must not dictate our actions or decisions. We've learned about developing endurance, a skill that's essential to weather the storms that life inevitably throws our way. We've also reflected on the concept of letting go of attachments, both to individuals and material possessions, acknowledging that these attachments can often tether us to a life devoid of freedom. We've examined the measure of our reactions to provocations, appreciating that our responses can either enslave us or liberate us. And lastly, we've embraced mortality, coming to terms with our finite existence and how this realization can empower us to live courageously and virtuously. These are not mere theories or concepts to be studied and forgotten. These are practical, actionable strategies meant to be applied in the real world, in your world. The Stoic philosophers were masters of their own lives, not because they had everything under control, but because they understood how to navigate the unpredictable currents of existence. You too can master your life, you too can escape the rat race. It's not an easy journey, but it's worth every step. It requires courage, conviction, and a willingness to challenge the status quo. But remember, the most meaningful journeys often start with the most difficult steps. Remember, the first step to escaping the rat race is realizing that you're in one. Once you've done that, the path to freedom lies before you. Walk it with courage and conviction. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the tenets of Stoicism, a philosophy that teaches us to master our minds and find freedom in a world that often feels confined and chaotic. If you found value in this video, if it sparked a glimmer of curiosity or incited a wave of self-reflection, we'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below sharing your thoughts, experiences, or questions. Remember to like this video if it resonated with you. And even more importantly, share it with someone who might benefit from these teachings. Subscribe to our channel to join us on future journeys. We delve into various philosophies, ideas, and strategies aimed at empowering you to live a life of freedom, fulfillment, and tranquility. We're all in this together, navigating the complex labyrinth of life. And while the paths we tread might differ, the lessons we learn, the wisdom we uncover, the growth we experience, these are our shared victories. Let's continue to learn, grow, and empower each other. After all, the rat race might be relentless, but so are we. Until next time, remember, the power to shape your life lies within you. Embrace it, use it, cherish it. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed this video, remember to like and subscribe for more content.